All right, so I'm back with another YouTube video. Another position breakdown for the Detroit Lions. I've been doing these kind of every other day. Just trying to get through, see what the Lions roster is going to look like next season. Kind of what to expect from the Lions, and just kind of get to know each positional group, so that we know what to expect for next season for the Detroit Lions. Um, if you do, Before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate everybody that does so. And if you know somebody that, would like to watch Lions news, enjoy the content that I produce on the channel, just share a video, share the channel with them, help me grow my channel a little bit. I would be greatly appreciative for that too. And with that being said, let's get into the cornerback room. The Lions currently have 8 cornerbacks on the roster. They have D. Virgin, Mike Ford, Jeff Okuda, Amani Oruwariye, Desmond Trufant, Daryl Roberts, Jamal Agnew, and Justin Coleman. Um, Obviously, some free agent signings from this season, some draft picks. This is a very, I don't know how to say it, a very changed room from last season. This room might have the biggest change of, you know, it might have changed the most in the offseason, and compared to every other positional group. As we did with all the other ones, we'll go from the bottom and we'll work our way up to the starters. We'll start with the special teamers, the guys that probably won't play a lot of defense. So we'll start with D. Virgin. D. Virgin, obviously, as I said, is a special teamer. He's a gunner for, punt and kickoffs. He played in 15 games. He had 10 tackles and 1 forced fumble. A pretty good special team player. Not a great cornerback. He's not going to play it, very much, if at all, next season, unless we get, hit with injuries very hard again. I like him as a special teams player. I think that's his role, and I think that he does that pretty well. He embraces it. He works very hard on special teams to get down, get the tackle. And as I said, he even forced a fumble this season for the Lions. So, getting those turnovers on special team is a big deal. And if you can force turnovers on the special teams, then you're going to set your defense and your offense up for, lots of success for the rest of the season, for the game. So he's very good at that. The other special teamer that plays cornerback is Jamal Agnew. Now, Jamal Agnew last year had 9 total tackles, 1 fumble, forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. So he kind of plays gunner on when we're kicking the ball to the other team to start the game or to punt. But where he does most of his damage is in the return game. He is the Lions' punt and kick returner most of the time. Sometimes he has some fumbling problems, which is why he gets benched every once in a while. But when he gets the ball, when he has it in his hands, he is absolutely electric. Last year, he had 19 punt returns for 175 yards and a touchdown. He also had 17 attempts at kick returns with 454 yards and another touchdown. So as I said, when he struggles getting the ball, but when he has it in his hands and he has a chance to look up and go, he is electric. He has a chance to take every punt and kick return back to the house. In 2017, he was a first team All Pro returner. Didn't make the Pro Bowl, unfortunately, but, the Pro Bowl is kind of a joke. It's more of a popularity contest than, a best all-star game. So he should have made it. He was the first team All-Pro returner, and he did not make it to the Pro Bowl, but, which he showed, and he has, as I said, he has some, turnover issues, but he's shown that he is very capable of being a great return man in the league, and I think that he and Jason Huntley are going to be that 1-2 combo at kick and punt returner that we can have faith in, that, with that kind of speed and athleticism and just electricness, they have a chance to take any kick and punt return back back to the house for a touchdown. And, I think that the Lions are going to have a good a good special teams unit next season. And Jamal Agnew is going to be a big part of it if he can stay on the field and kind of, just heap his concentration so that he gets the ball in his hands before he starts running. So the next cornerback is D. Ford. D. Ford's been with the Lions for 2 years now. Kind of a rotational slot guy. Doesn't play a lot, but when he does play, he does all right. He had a pretty good, season 2 years ago. Kind of struggled this season a bit, but so did the rest of the Lions defense. So, I'm not going to fault him a ton. He's back up for a reason. He is serviceable. He's not a liability in coverage, I don't think. I think that we could put him out there on, that third receiver, or if they go five wide, put him on that tight end, or not tight end, but, put him on that receiver that's not necessarily the one or the two, and I would have faith that he could, keep up and at least make it a contested catch for whoever he's covering. So Mike Ford played in 15 games. He had 12 total tackles, and he had 2 passes defended. Again, he's just a depth corner. He's not going to play a ton, barring injury. But even if he does have to come in for some reason, I'm not going to be watching him all the time and thinking, oh, I hope they don't throw out Mike Ford. Because, if you test Mike Ford, he might make you pay. He's better than guys we've had in the past. He's better than Nevin Lawson, who started for several years on the Detroit Lions. Mike Ford is a good cornerback, and he's very good depth for the Lions. So the next guy is Darryl Roberts. We signed him in free agency this offseason, kind of a smaller contract, not very talked about because he's, not one of those elite cornerbacks that everybody is thinking of. When you say cornerback in the NFL, I guarantee you, not even Jets fans will say that, Darryl Roberts comes to mind as their number one. But, he's serviceable. Darryl Roberts played in 13 games last year. He had 63 total tackles, 1 interception, and 2 passes defended. He might compete for that rotational cornerback with Amani Oruwariye. He probably won't start because Trufant and Okudah and Justin Coleman are going to start. Those first 3 are going to be the starting cornerbacks. But I think that he'll get a decent rotation. I think that he could come in if there is injury, if there is, just they need a break for a couple plays, and I think that he would be all right. I wouldn't, I'm not too concerned about Darryl Roberts. I don't think he'll be a huge impact on the team, but he'll definitely get some snaps, and I think that he will, not necessarily make the most of them, but I think that he'll be a okay corner for the Detroit Lions in 2020. So then getting into the final 4, I really think that these 4 guys are going to contribute for the Detroit Lions. I really like all 4 of these guys. I would start any 4 of them on my team as a cornerback, and I have complete faith that they can turn this secondary around and make it a elite secondary for next season. So the first guy is Amani Oruwariye, 5th round pick out of Penn State 2 years ago. At this point, 2 drafts ago. And he fell. I thought that he was a much better cornerback than a 5th round prospect. And when he got on the field, he struggled in the preseason a lot. I'm not going to lie. I was excited to watch him in the preseason, and he struggled. Wasn't having a great preseason. And, I was kind of disappointed in him. But during the regular season, when he got a chance, I thought he made the most of it. He started for 9 games in the Detroit Lions. He had 19 tackles and 2 interceptions. And these were impressive interceptions. It was against the Redskins and the Packers in the last game of the season. They were contested balls. He jumped up. He used his length. He used his size to box out guys, just snatch the ball away. And, he had a very good end to the season. And I think that he could definitely carry that, confidence, that momentum into next season and take another step forward and, be a very good rotational guy with Jeffrey Okudah and Desmond Trufant. Those 3 guys going in and out, keeping them healthy, keeping them fresh. I think those guys will be very good. And, well, I think, everybody will be good on the secondary. And hopefully that rotation. Amani is a very good 3rd cornerback, very good depth receiver. And I believe that when Desmond Trufant's contract is up, he'll be, 32, something, 31, 32. And then when he leaves, Amani, Jeff Okudah, and not Desmond Trufant, because he would be gone. Justin Coleman would be a great trio at the cornerback position. I like all 3 of them, and, I think that this could be a very good secondary for next season. So moving on to Justin Coleman. He was a big free agent that we went out and got last year. Obviously, we paid him a lot of money. We signed him for 4 years to a $36 million contract. I think he's the highest paid slot corner in the NFL, or he was when we signed him. And he's a good slot corner. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is it was a very big contract, and I don't think he's earned it yet. But he definitely showed flashes last season. He was going crazy in the first 5 games. He was, so good. Against the Chiefs, he had a ton of turnovers, ton of big plays. Against the Packers in the fit at Week 5, he had a lot of big plays, a lot of pass breakups. He had a very good start to the season and kind of, fell off a little bit near the end of the season. Like as we got to like week 7, 8, he kind of started to dip off a little bit in production, and he wasn't as noticeable, wasn't making the plays that he was in week, 1 through 5. But he did have a good season. He had a very strong performance in 2019. He played in all 16 games. He had 54 total tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and an interception. So obviously, very good production out of head Justin Coleman. If your cornerbacks can get 3 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery and a interception, that's 4 possible turnovers that you can get, 4 or 5. And if a single player is forcing 4 to 5 turnovers a season, I would definitely take that for the Lions. The Lions struggled to take the ball away last season, and Justin Coleman was not the reason why. Justin Coleman, I think, had a good season, but he still has to prove that he can keep that production up for next season for me to say that that contract was warranted and that he really deserved to be paid all that money. So getting onto the boundary corners, obviously we have Jeffrey Okudah. I did a deep dive on him a couple days ago, so I'm not going to get in a ton of, stats and predictions because you can go watch that video to go see what I think of Jeffrey Okudah. But I mean, he's a very good pick. Obviously, the number 3 pick in the 2020 NFL draft. The best cornerback in the draft by most people. The consensus number 1. So in college, I've said this so many times, but he had 35 tackles, 9 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions. So once again, forcing 5 turnovers, or at least giving the opportunity to force 5 turnovers by himself at Ohio State. As I said with Justin Coleman, the Lions did not force a lot of turnovers last season, and I think that Jeffrey Okudah is definitely going to help. Those numbers are good, but he wasn't targeted that much. I mean, he was not picked on by a lot of Big Ten schools, and he still put up that kind of production. So in the NFL, he's definitely going to get tested more than he was at Ohio State, and I think that he's going to have the opportunity to make a lot of plays for the Lions, get a lot of turnovers, and I think that this is going to be a pick well spent. And I really, really like Jeffrey Okudah as a Detroit Lion. I'm glad we picked him. But if you want to hear more, if you want to hear a really deep dive and kind of get to know Jeff Okudah, as I said, go to the Jeff Okudah rookie breakdown video, and you can get a lot of information there about Jeffrey Okudah, the 3rd overall pick. And then the number 1 corner that I believe will start at the number 1 shadow guys and be that boundary corner, that veteran presence next season will be Desmond Trufant. Once again, free agent acquisition from the Atlanta Falcons. We signed him to a 2-year, $20 million contract, which is, it was an okay contract. I don't think that we overpaid a ton. Trufant is still a very good cornerback in the NFL. He struggles at times, but I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons put him in the best position to succeed. I see him as more of a man coverage corner, and the Atlanta Falcons played a lot of cover 3 last season. And obviously, if he's a man corner, his zone is not his strong suit. So he did end up giving up, a couple touchdowns and struggled early in the year as the Falcons defense did as a whole. But he did have, some really good stats to go, to kind of make up for it. Last year, Desmond Trufant played in 9 games, so he was injured. But he had 18 total tackles. He had 4 interceptions and 7 passes defended. So this was a guy that we brought in the night before Darius Slay got traded, and everybody was thinking, okay, so if Slay stays, this could be an elite secondary with, 2 starting caliber corners on the boundary, 2 number 1s, and a slot receiver that's the highest paid in the league. Everybody's thinking this could be a really good signing for the Lions. This could make their secondary, one of the top best in the league, and free them up to take somebody like Isaiah Simmons or a Derek Brown. But obviously the night after, like that next morning, we traded Darius Slay to the Eagles. So they probably knew they were going to do that. They probably had that deal all lined up, and they were saying, wait for us to sign a veteran corner that can come in and mentor these guys, teach them the ropes, show them the ropes, teach them what they need to do, and then we will give you Darius Slay for not a lot, unfortunately. We didn't get a ton in return for Darius Slay, but that's kind of what Desmond Trufant is. He's that Darius Slay replacement. Same age, same body type, same, strengths. Obviously, Slay was a man corner. Desmond Trufant's a man corner. They're both 30. They're both, I mean, they're very comparable, but Darius Slay's obviously a better cornerback than Desmond Trufant. And then, so that's, unfortunately we lost Slay, but I don't think we're going to take a huge step back without him. And then we obviously upgraded our cornerback 2 spot with Jeffrey Okudah. So our secondary as a whole is going to get better. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't keep Darius Slay on the team. So that's kind of, what the position is looking like. That's kind of what our cornerbacks are going to look like in, 2020. I would definitely keep an eye on Amani Oruwariye if I had to single a guy out and say, he's probably going to take that biggest step forward as far as, what we saw last year to this year. I'm excited to watch him and all the cornerbacks play in the Detroit Lions. But that is all I got for right now. Later tonight, I will probably do a quick update. The schedule comes out tonight. It is rumored that we're going to be playing the Bears week 1, so that could be interesting. But I'll come back when the official schedule is released. I'll give my thoughts and opinions, kind of thing, show where our schedule gets kind of easier, where it's harder, and all that. But again, I will come back later and talk about that. If you do enjoy the content, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, share it with a friend that might like Lions news or the Detroit Lions. And that's all I got for right now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.